Hi everyone, how are you? Can you hear me? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are. So, welcome to this day related to the third eye and the topic for today, which is two dimension. I know that maybe you can tell because of my eyes that I was crying, but no, I wasn't crying. I was sleeping. I'm really tired today. I don't know why. So really tired, and I just fell asleep right now. So I just came back from sleeping 20 minutes ago, and I'm still like trying to figure out where I am. So of course um, we are talking about dimension with the chakra of the eyes, because two dimension is to evaluate the measurements of the things that we contemplate, that we see. So because of this perception of the eyes, what we have to understand from dimension is that dimension is basically to make a measurement on things. Okay, measurements. So it's to contemplate something and to understand how to measure its dimensions, its sizes, or its depth, and so on. So today we have like two different aspects of what is the dimension. We call two dimension to know how a thing or a situation is in size, like if it's big or shorter, or if it's conflict or whatever. So we dimension things like by size. And then we have the other concept, which is in the spiritual world, when we call dimensions, talking about the different levels through where you can move in the universe. But that kind of dimension doesn't exist. This thing that we call to move through dimensions, this doesn't really exist. The only concept of dimension is to know how the things are in size or in which manner they are. So the reason why we have this idea of dimensions, that we think that this is in the spiritual and the cosmic world of understanding, we say we are going into another dimension, we go through dimensions, there are many dimensions, is because we inherit this concept of how the universe is divided from thousands of years of practice of humanitics, in which the humanity projected in the universe a way from which we were seeing the universe. So we as humans had projected into the universe a vision of how we live inside the universe. So in order to understand how this begins, we have to go to the very beginning of when humans started to project its vision in the universe. And this would be from the very origin, when humans started to see nature as the way of life. So nature was the way in which we are able to live. So this is why we started to interpret that humans live through the animals, because it eat the animals. We eat plants. The plant's flower creates the fruits that we eat. Then the seasons of the planet, the cycle of the water, all of that helps us to understand that all the reality, all the nature is divine. We start to believe that divinity is in nature. So that's why we start to perceive, to see the reality, the animals as a divine. So this created the idea that the potentialities of the divine lives in the spirit of plants and animals, and that created the totemic vision, the totems. Okay, the totems would be like these symbols of nature, plants or animals, that would represent the potentialities of divine. That's what made the first religions that were called the animistic, that follows the animals and follows the plants as a way of understanding the divine. So they thought that the whole universe was created by spirits of animals. This is why, for example, we started to call the earth like the great tortoise, in the sea where is the holy whale, in the sky, the skies were made by this eagle with its two eyes, the sun and the moon, and well, many other animals and spirits, like also the tree of life, creating the whole the whole reality with its branches and so on. So they are all visions, interpretations from the animal and the plant world. So then after this, when the animistic and the totemic civilizations, people, they used to live in tribes, and the tribes are small groups of people traveling around and living directly from the nature. But when we needed to organize even more, when we needed to grow as a population, as a culture, the tribes started to work together. So they united to create a society. And when that happens, you cannot follow anymore your shaman, your guide. You need someone to rule and control the other ones. So they created the idea of a king. The king would be the one now representing the power of the whole tribes. And then you will have different shamans and different organizations that creates the shape of a hierarchy. So hierarchy would be the structure of a society that needed more control. So in this way is how we also projected in the universe the idea of hierarchy. Okay, with someone, only God. It's only God, and then this God has different other gods in this pantheon, and then we have different angels, the guardians, and then we have all the population of the people that lives in the world. So through time, there are many kings, many kingdoms. So this creates the idea that we have to connect them all, to put them all united. So this created the idea of an empire with only one king for all the other kingdoms. So when we have this kind of empires or bigger kingdoms, the organization starts to be only one king for everyone. Then we have the feudus, the feudalism, with many different small kings or princes. And then we have the how do you say in English, the priest. Okay, so we have all the priests, and then we have the army, and below the army we have this whole population that works for the system. So that's the pyramid that through history we have created. We have lived in this system, of this pyramidal system, for at least 10 to 12,000 years. So this means that if we have lived like that, like for 10,000 years, this means that we have shaped the whole reality of the universe, how we see the world, in this same idea, in the way that we lived in society. So in this way is how we started to create our religions and philosophies according to our social structure. So something important to understand here is that from our point of view today, we can say that this organization of hierarchy with kings and with clergy, with the priest and shamans and all that hierarchy is something wrong, is something bad. But that's from our point of view today. That's from now. But in the last 10,000 years, that was the only system that we thought it was the best one, because for us that was like safe to have a king, to have an army, to have people taking care of your spirit, like the priest. So we should not judge the history from the eyes from today. What we had that time was the best way to work with. So we were feeling secure. So in that vision of security, of feeling safe with that system, we projected that system into the universe because we wanted to feel safe in the whole universe. So this is why in that in time, what we have done was to organize the universe exactly as our kingdoms. So we have one God on the top, then we have these seraphims and the cherubims, and then we have the archangels like the priest, and then we have the army, which is the angels, and then we have the common people of the kingdom, which is humans, of course. So the idea that we have of the universe like this is like I cannot be an archangel. The archangels will be always archangels. The God will be always God. The feudalism will be always feudalism. The only thing that I can change is maybe to become an angel. Okay, so I can go to become an angel, or an angel can fall and become a human. But that's it. That's the only thing. And why is this? Because of the social structure in castes. This means that God, the king, will always inherit the kingdom to their own. The feudalism to the main families. No change at all. Their archangels will be all archangels because they will pick exactly who will become the next priest. That's it. So the only ones can change is the population with the army. The army can become normal people, or normal people can become also army. But that's the only thing. So that's the structure that we inherit. So this social structures social states, the structure of the society will be organized in these stratums of the society, and there are like different levels in which you can go up, high, or going down. That's the organization that we got. So these stratums of society also organized like this because we have the way in which we organize this structure is because the king was the one living on the top. Okay, so we have this hill with the castle, and in the castle you have the king living there, and then you have the different parts of the society, sections of the society, from the richer ones to the poor ones, okay, going down. So that's why we put the image of God as the king of the skies, the king of heavens. So he is there in the king of heavens, and then we have all these clouds, like where the seraphims, the archangels, the angels, and so on, and then on earth, on the ground. So this structure, like in the one Michelangelo painted in the Vatican, okay, with all these structures of clouds. So then comes the 15th and the 16th century with the Renaissance and this rebirth of science, of study, of interpretation of the heavens, and suddenly we discover that the earth is not down and the heaven is up, but the earth is a sphere floating around the sun. So where's God? There's no more heaven where God is. So that creates a change of perception. So from this point of view, we start to measure the distance between the orbs, between the sun, the moon, the planets. So suddenly the idea of separation with straits of society, with different levels of society, suddenly there's no up and below, there is no division. Suddenly we only can measure the distances between the things. So that's why we change to the concept of dimension, because we have to measure the different distances between the things in the universe. So I think that you now can follow how we change from straits of society dimensions. From there, and the investigations, they start to discover that there are macrocosmic dimensions like galaxies and microcosmic dimensions like the atoms. This creates the idea that the universe is not any organized in structures of society. Now it's all organized in dimensions of things, big or small. So when we start to speak about dimensions, they start to divide, dissection the dimensions, so they could measure the different size of things. Like, for example, first dimension would be a spot, a dot in the middle of nothing, because this is just one point. That's it. That's the only thing. Then we have the second dimension, which is a line. Okay, so we have like a projection of it, so you can see. Okay, and then you can see the distance, you can see the measure, you can measure the second dimension, and then you have the third dimension, which is the depth of this measurement. So you have a third perspective. So we start to create the different dimensions according to the measurement of something. So what we have now is that dimensions start to be the way in which you can measure the reality. So for example, when you have an object, something, you can now measure the different dimensions, the sides, the distances of this object. So the third dimension won't be something different from the second and the first one. The third dimension would be the joint of the first one, the second, plus another point of view more, which is depth. So that's a dimension. So third dimension is not a different place from the second dimension. It's the joint of the other two plus another vision. Okay, so this would be to dimension things. So this is how we started to understand the universe. So this is the last dimension that we could measure. Okay, so that's the third dimension. Third dimension is the last thing that you can perceive, that you can measure. But then we started to picture a new dimension, which is the fourth dimension. It's a fourth aspect of this object in the third dimension, which will be the movement of this object when it's changing its position. So the fourth dimension is being interpreted like time, which is the thing that makes things change. That would be. So the reason why, so they started to understand, to appreciate that there are much more dimensions, that for sure there is the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, but we cannot feel it, we cannot live it, because we are in the third dimension living that perception of until the fourth dimension, which is time. So this vision is only from the last 100 years. So in the last 100 years, we started to perceive that there are many more dimensions than only three. So a lot of people that were awakening in these times, they started to perceive all these new dimensions, to perceive, to know that they exist. But what we started to do is to bring all the concepts of the organization of the universe from the last 10,000 years into dimensions. And it's in this way how people from the spiritual world start to bring the ideas of the social, religious organization into the spiritual of the interdimensional realities. And this is normal, because we have been 10,000 years with one vision, and now in just 100 years we changed this vision. And also in this just 100 years, the concept of hierarchy, of this pyramidal structure, starts also to change into the networks, the internet, the connection with all the people. Now we work in networks. So socially speaking, we have been experiencing as humanity how to work in between dimensions and a network of consciousness only for 30 years. My life. Only my life compared to 12,000 years of history, only 30 years of it is a tiny little moment of time when we have the experience of connection and interdimension. So that's why it's so normal for us that we think that dimensions is a political organization with structures. So what is a dimension? A dimension is only the different points of view and visions and perceptions and measurements from one only thing, being, or object. So this is to the idea that we have today. The universe is one. The universe is only one being, and we are all part of it. So what is this? It's one only thing observed from different point of views, from different dimensions. So this, what we have achieved by understanding the whole thing, that everything is one with different perspectives, is that we now we can understand that the universe is just one being that bended itself in time, creating time and space. And then time and space starts to divide and divide and divide and divide once and again, so many times that it creates different perspectives, so different dimensions of itself. So this is like watching this. We have a hand. This is a hand. We all agree with that. But we have this side of the hand, this other side of the hand. We have fingers. We have nails. We have joints. We have so many different things of the hand, but we all agree that this is a hand. So a hand has many dimensions, different dimensions, but we call just hand. So we have also here in the hand, this is the universe. So each finger, it's seraphim, cherubim, archangel, angel, and human. And it's just one hand. They only appear or disappear. They expand or contract. So now let's see this, that if you put this hand like this, you will see only one finger. But this only finger doesn't mean that the other ones doesn't exist. They are there, behind it. So this is only my point of view. My point of view says there is only one finger. I cannot see the other ones. But this is only my perspective of the reality, because the other ones were always there. So when I do this, I am just picturing that this is me, the only thing that I see in the third dimension. And then I have my masters, my guides. Then I have the angels, the archangel. And I think that all of them, they are in different levels because they are separated from me. But the reality is that we are all part of the hand, that we are all one. Okay? And when I just do this, I can only see my own reality. But when I do this, I will recognize that they are not behind or different, that they are just the same. So when we are talking about different beings in different dimensions, in the sixth dimension, the fourth dimension, they are just different fingers in this hand, with different parts in the same body expressed from the same reality in different directions. We all have different paths to get into the I am. But even though we all are I am. So that's why, for example, when people download information from other dimensions, or when people channel like I did, what is happening is that you are, I would call that synapses. Synapses would be to connect the different information, different cells sharing information inside the same body. So so this is important to understand, that nobody goes from one dimension to another. That the only thing that we really do is to change the perception of that dimension, because we all live in all the dimensions at the same time. We are all dimensions. So the only thing that we do is to perceive, to see a different dimension. So this is why we have to change the perception that we have from dimensions, because when we say to go into another dimension, it's the same as saying to go into another social class. So our goal, becoming aware, conscious about all this, is that we should not go into another dimension. We should realize that we are multidimensional. We are multidimensional. We just have to remember that and perceive that. See? So the way in which you know how to do this, how to become multidimensional, is to open your perception, not to stay always in the same point of view and just thinking the same thing all the time. You have to open your horizons, and that means to change your position, to change point of view, to have some trip, to travel, to talk with other people, to learn something new. This is why in the month of Sagittarius, the goal is to move forward, to change your point of view, to be able or to be willing to learn something different, something new. There's no need to know how to channel or to listen other dimensions to become multidimensional. All you need to do is to be open with your mind, to be able to learn different things. That's it. Sometimes you can also travel reading a book or watching a movie. It's not only about to buy a ticket and to take a trip. The vibration for today is Ya. The statement for today is I am the dimension of contemplation. The code for today is the cube, precisely the geometry that creates the dimensions of the universe. So it says, the Merkaba of both tetrahedrons in the connection of its vertices forms a cube, hexahedron, being this the figure related with Earth, with the four pillars that sustain the realities. The cube of salt that gives life. Having 12 edges, 8 vertices, and 6 faces, speaks of the 12 paths through the 8 temporal and spatial dimensions: north, south, east, and west, spring, summer, autumn, winter. Contemplating the 6 petals of the flower of life, attributes of the being. So let's go to the alignment. Relax your body, sit comfortable, begin to move your shoulders to relax a little bit, and focus in your breathing. Take a deep breath, and I feel the weight of all the mud and the earth that is over me, over the seed that I am. I picture the seed within me. Take a deep breath. I feel how the mud starts to give the nutrients, nourishing the seed as it creates its roots and extend the first leaves. I find myself under the great tree of life, and from there I begin to expand and grow. I start to feel, to listen the animals far away, and as I start to grow, I accompany this growth with my hands from my heart, picturing how I flower, opening the petals. As I grow up, I rise in between the root, the branches and leaves of this great tree, searching for the light. And there, I feel the light, the sky, opening myself over the forest, seeing all the trees. Ahead I see the savannah, the horizon, and all the animals on it. Birds flying over the trees. And I go higher and higher, changing my vision, my perception. I see all the savannah, the horizon, and the entire forest. I expand even more until I see the ocean, the coast, and the entire sky. I go through the clouds, surrounded with these colors, white, light blue, and the rays of the sun. I keep following the light as I am so high that I can perceive Africa under me. I go so high and up that I start to feel myself in the space, and the light is not anymore around me, but below me, shining in the earth. And I see Europe, Middle East, Asia. I see the earth. I start to spin around the world, watching the Americas, the Pacific Ocean, Oceania, and the Antarctic. I recognize, as I stare at the world, that each one of these continents, of these oceans, are dimensions of the world I am. I fly around the planet as I perceive, as I see, that all the dimensions of it are only the perceptions of my point of view, and they all live in the way I contemplate. Y de lo etéreo, I perceive the dimension of time, the dimension of space, the dimension of light and the shadows. I perceive the dimensions of the divine design, the dimension of the eternity, and the dimension of the ethereal, the etheric. All the dimensions live in me. All of them are one. And I recognize through my sound these dimensions I contemplate. I am the dimension of contemplation. I am the dimension of contemplation. I am the dimension of contemplation. And I take between my hands the whole planet, bringing it as a sphere of light to my third eye. In this way, the earth delivers to me the 360 degrees, the eternal horizon of contemplation. I see. Now I can see. I see. And I take my hands to my heart, allowing me to feel all the light, all the contemplation. All the dimensions are looking to me, and I see every one of my dimensions. I see. Take a deep breath, and slowly I begin to caress the body, coming back here and now. Thank you for being there and to be part of my other dimensions. Rest and speak with the other dimensions, so maybe one day you will be able to see them too. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.